Rochford, as we know, has put together a new backroom team. Peter Ford, Shane Conway came in. Obviously, Donny Buckley and Tony McEntee worked away. Peter walked away. Peter Burke as well. And he met with the Mayo Executive Committee last night to discuss this management team he had brought in. And afterwards, you would have seen a statement saying that they wanted to meet Rochford and the new management team. But he feels that that meeting last night made it very clear to him that he didn't have the desired support. So whatever went on in that meeting, he didn't like the sound of it. And he said, well, look, frankly, there's no point in me and the new management team sitting down with you to discuss the season ahead because you don't want me, or certainly you don't want me enough.
Were they unhappy with the team that was going in around him? Would that have been the case? I don't know. There's a number of aspects around this, isn't there? But
that's what I think they would put forward, is that they wanted to discuss further their plans for 2019, given the fact that he was now installing the Briefy joint managers as his new selectors. Now, they would point towards the fact that this is the process of things, that they would have those names put forward in the county board meeting, and that from there on in they would go and discuss things with Rochford. But he would have seen it as fait accompli, that seeing as he is the incumbent manager,
I was going to say, they've got to put the trust in him and the team and the people that he wants around him.
Exactly. So his theory is that the team should have been just rubber stamped last night, and the formality should have been completed, and he should have been set to go ahead.
You were getting wind of this though, weren't you, for a long time? Just something, it just kept on popping up, didn't it?
Well, the McGuinness story cropped up a while back, and it was like shot down very quickly, and literally that evening Rochford staying on was the story, so we forgot about it. The Mayo County Board have released a statement just in the last 20 minutes or so. It's much shorter than Rochford's. Mike Kennelly is the man behind it, the chairman. We sincerely thank Stephen Rochford for all the hard work and commitment he's given to Mayo GAA since he was appointed in 2015. Stephen's given an enormous amount of service to Mayo, given the supporters many great days. Since he became team manager, he's been involved in 3 great years for Mayo GAA. He's brought Mayo to 2 All-Irelands, losing both by the narrowest of margins. We wish him and his family all the best for the future and thank him for all he has done for Mayo GAA. End of statement.
That's fair. Yeah, well, he has. I think there will be always that thing that's that's probably levelled against any Mayo manager, that they haven't actually got over the line. Fair enough, people could say that's justified. I don't necessarily see it like that, because I think he has done a good job over the last 2 years.
This boils down to
the message he was giving
in
out
that meeting last night.
Yeah, exactly. And will we get to the bottom of it?
Well, I think we will in time. I don't know if we will.
We always will in time, won't we? And there's probably going to be things in place, contracts in place to prevent people talking and really disclosing what's been said in this meeting.
Rochford says it was apparent from what transpired at that meeting last night that the desired level of support from his manager was not forthcoming.
Yeah.
Now that could be one of the great euphemisms of all time. For all we know, he got for all we know, that meeting turned very ugly.
Yeah.
And they really grilled him over the season just gone. Or maybe it was more subtle, and Rochford just felt, hang on, I'm not getting much support, and we don't know which it is yet. Maybe it was just a bit lukewarm, or maybe it was cold.
I think the lukewarm nature about it is probably what goaded him. If the sport, like
I'm saying we don't know yet, though. It could have been cold. It could have been a grilling. It could have been what.
Just judging by the tone of his statement,
I think this is whatever's happening here is a euphemism. You know, when Rochford says the desired level of support wasn't there, that could mean a whole bunch. There's a big spectrum there. He's going to have to be pretty lukewarm for him to walk away.
Yeah, of course. Well, of course it is. I think
the point of being cold.
Extremely lukewarm.
Extremely.
Yeah, I would say
lukewarm.
I think he probably got that message straight away as soon as the meeting started, or as soon as he's met them. I would imagine that'll be the case, and before you know it, then it escalates into that, and then there's no going back from it, is there? That quite quickly, then it's all done and dusted. I don't know. I just think, personally, then now it's you look at the job that he's done this season. I think we're always going to be up against it in Kildare, in Newbridge. I really do think that that was just a week where it was just destiny that they were going to win that game, and that's the way that I would look at that. That wasn't Mayo's doing. It wasn't anything that they could have done. Kildare were always going to be lifted for that one particular match, but I think in general, he's done well. He's done a great job, and I'm delighted with what he's done over the last 2 years, and hopefully now we can move on with the new manager and get the manager in place quickly enough.
The final denouement, dominating talk in Gaelic football circles in the week of an All-Ireland football final they're not involved in.
Yeah. I mean, Mayo, give it a rest. So last week the ladies' county board threw in the Carnacon thing to just steal the headlines, and now it's like the men's equivalent have said, well, hang on.
Hold my beer.
Hang on. We're the main attraction here. We're going to dominate. Oh, by the way, Dublin play Tyrone at the weekend, but it's all about Mayo.
Ah, come on.
Honestly, what is it with you Mayo folk?
It's rubbish.
Mayo,
Absolute garbage.
Me.
Give us attention.
Oh,
Is it?
I want to get the Pope to sign our jersey. Oh, the curse is lifted.
But that's done. That's done and dusted now. So whoever takes over has got it. We're back on side now. So whoever takes the job now, that's it.
Can you not just like everyone just sit in the corner and wait your turn for a while?
Just enjoy the final. Yeah. Enjoy the build up to the final week.
You two relax yourselves. Honestly.
They'll announce the new manager on Sunday morning. Guarantee you. Classic.
Well, it's Saturday evening. And then,
listen.
Saturday evening late on.
Jim McGuinness, manager of Mayo.
Or maybe just in time for it to make the Sunday papers. Maybe it's what Saturday. What's the cut-off point? What's the deadline on the Sunday papers?
About 10 o'clock. He'll walk then out into the Sky booth on Saturday
in a jersey signed by Pope Francis.
Signed by Pope Francis, waving to the crowd as if he's royalty.
Lads, come on.
That's what's going to happen.
Come on.
Jim's coronation, not Dublin's fourth in a row.
David Mead says the player's statement, when it comes out, will be a good indicator of what really went down here. Yeah, see, this is the thing.
I think that's the case.
We're into saga territory. What actually happened at this meeting, what did the players think, is all going to creep out over the next few days. We're going to talk to David Brady and Colm Keys. Certainly, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, David Brady knew this morning, frankly, this was on the cards. So he had a feel for what happened at that meeting last night. Yeah. And it clearly wasn't good. So,
of course,
we'll have to see. I mean, well, I mean, maybe it wasn't so bad. I'm just saying, Rochford's statement doesn't clear it up. Like the support not forthcoming.
I think that these statements, anyway, they're always very vague, aren't they? You don't really, we won't get. We won't get.
They're going to have to be.
True indication and say it might take a bit of time, but I'm sure it'll all come out in time. Yeah.
How do Mayo fans look back on the Rochford era? You can text us 53106. Condo says Rochford couldn't win a Connacht title. Never mind in All Ireland, they'd won 5 Connacht titles in a row before him. I know, but like within a point of the All Ireland and a replay against maybe the greatest team we've all seen. I mean,
imagine
they
that being your gripe with Stephen Rochford, who's gotten in those 3 years the 2 All Ireland finals, could win the Connacht title. So. He came within as close as anybody of beating Dublin in the championship. Get over yourself.
Yeah, to be fair, I think he was gearing up for bigger days than the Connacht final. Mourinho from Mayo, says JK. The Newsround is brought to you this evening with Screwfix.ie, champion in the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products. So Rochford trying to find out what went on at 7:30 with Colm Keys and David Brady. The other big news today, of course, was Martin O'Neill was in Dublin, Richie.
Yeah, and he says he's done all he can to sell the Republic of Ireland to Declan Rice. The West Ham teenager left out of the Republic of Ireland squad, named today for the Nations League opener with Wales and the friendly with Poland. Rice, of course, capped 3 times for Ireland this year, but all of those games were friendlies, and so he is still free to declare for the country of his birth, which is, of course, England. O'Neill today conceded that England have spoken with Rice and that the West Ham man is taking time to consider his options.
He is still deliberating, obviously. He is a young man. England have obviously spoken to him, we're aware of that, and I think he's just taking a little bit more time just to make his mind up. Obviously we have played him at senior level, he's done brilliantly for us. Met the family, they're really terrific people, and but obviously England, the place of his birth, have talked to him, and we respect that, and obviously I think he just wants a little bit more time to think about it. I think it's probably to do with the fact that started the season, new manager at club level as well too, trying to cement down a place there, and he's just wants a little bit more time. So I've respected that, and I'm still hopeful, obviously. But I said right from the very beginning, until something is nailed down, then it's never over the line.
So that was Martin O'Neill's take, and he talked for about 5-6 minutes about this. We'll play everything Martin O'Neill had to say. Well, we'll see how we go on with Brady and Keys. If we can squeeze it in before 8 o'clock, we will. If not, we'll certainly put it on the football show at 9.
With Brady as well, you're trying to squeeze something else in. Good luck.
So we'll try and fit it in before 8, the full 5 minutes. But you got the gist there. It's fairly self-explanatory what's going on. This has caused waves in various places. Kilbane not happy, but don't take my word for it.
Well, the news hasn't been received too well by Kevin Kilbane, who received 110 caps for the Republic. He posted this on Twitter in response to the news: "I'd rather be ranked 150th in the world and never qualify again than have someone who has played but needs to think whether they should play for us again. Well done, Martin O'Neill, for transparency."
Oh, to have a tweet read out by Jim White.
I didn't know that.
No, listen.
You've sucked me in there, lads. I didn't know that was...
Even Big Jim didn't, Will.
Yeah.
We've had this from Kevin Kilbane.
Yeah, well...
Capped 302 times for the Republic of Ireland.
Lads, we shouldn't be laughing about this, honestly. I'm not happy with this. Genuinely not happy with this. This is poor. This is very poor. I know some you lads don't agree with me on my feelings to what it means to play and things like this as well, and I know that totally. But this is not on. I genuinely think this is not on. 3 caps, all the messages, kissing the badge, and this was mentioned last week, and I immediately thought to the under-21 game when he made his debut in Turkey. Then he went back to play for
the 19s.
Was it the night? No, it was the 21s.
21s.
It was the 21s. Yeah. It was Kinger's 21 side, wasn't it? So he went back to playing the 21s, and then kissing the badge and all that. The messages and the signals all indicated towards him being fully with us, essentially. And why play in the first place? Why start playing for us? It's just I don't buy it, and you lads don't agree with it. And I know that you.
Well, hang on, don't agree with what? What?
No,
what
but you lads don't agree. The fact is that look, you've got marketability and everything by playing for England. Yes, it's probably you've got more value put on your head by playing for England. There's probably better wages further down the line, but playing international football is not about that, and it never will be in my mind. It never. Honestly, that's the way that I feel. And you can throw at me anything about would you have ever played for England yourself further down the line? Would you have ever been picked and all this? It's total nonsense. It is.
If you follow your logic through, we can assume it's about money. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't.
Of course, he's changed his agent over the summer.
Yeah.
You
that's certainly
talk to
raised
your
alarm
agent.
bells.
What's your agent saying to you? Your agent saying, look, this is great for you. You're getting international caps, but also don't play a competitive game, knowing full well that this is the first competitive game. It was mentioned to me last week. I was talking to a few of the press lads last week, and they'd mentioned it to me. And it actually I didn't even realise that these next games are actually going to be classed as competitive games. So that takes away.
Well, just this one Wales game, yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it's still the glorified friendlies, essentially, aren't they? That's what they are. I honestly I didn't even think of it in that way. Then all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, be fine. He'll play. There's no issues. And then for Martin O'Neill, you got to applaud him for this, because many manager would have come out and just told a line of, Declan's injured, he's not quite right. That's what would have been said by most managers. So he's come out today and he said, well, look, this is what I'm dealing with here. England have been in touch, and we've got to respect his decision for that. Personally, I know I'm certainly, Adrian's accused me in the past of maybe tweeting to get likes and all this sort of crap, but that's not the case at all. Honestly, genuinely with this, I feel as though that he's had his head turned. Mm-hmm. Why on earth play for us in the first place to then consider going to play for a different country? Yeah, that's what I genuinely feel with it. And personally, if he's called back into the squad, or if he were then to change his mind and think, I'm going to go, what does that say to the rest of the lads? What does that say to young kids growing up, that you can actually, you're aspiring to be a Declan Rice, you're aspiring to be, if you're English born, you're aspiring to be Declan Rice, that you've got pride in playing for Ireland, and all of a sudden, I could actually go and play for someone else as well, or a young boy's over here in Ireland that's growing up, and they're listening tonight, or they're seeing what Declan Rice is doing. What's that saying to them? They're coming through a system where someone's taken 3 caps off an Irishman. Mm-hmm. That's the way that I'd look at it. You've taken 3 caps off someone here, and you shouldn't have been involved in the first place if you're actually going to make this decision further down the line.
Well, let's start on point 1. I think we're all in agreement that FIFA and UEFA and everybody needs to change the rules, that if you play a friendly or a competitive international, it doesn't actually matter. That's it, you're done. Like, this Diego Costa business has to change.
I get that. I get that.
Just hang on. Let's move on. So that should be changed, because that makes it very messy, and there's the badge kissing, and then there's the interviews afterwards, and there's this Dan flying into Turkey, and there will be plenty of evidence and clips to throw at Declan Rice now for a long time if he goes and plays for England. But point 2, isn't he entitled to just be true to himself? Maybe it's not about money.
True to himself, but don't play in the first place, Joe. Do not play for us in the first place, and use us to enhance your reputation, to enhance the chance of you going to play for England. Don't play for us in the first place. I don't want you. Because I tell you something now, that I've been in this position before when I was part of the squad, where we've had lads going, if I don't make the England squad, I might declare for Ireland, but I'm not just going to declare yet. I've been in the squad, I've been sat on the bus going to training, and lads have been like, on you go, we don't want you. No matter what anyone said, the lads will give out a message, say, well, look, he's welcome back in the squad, but there'll be an element, and a large element within that squad will be thinking, not wanted.
But if he takes the time now to really think about this, and then says, I still want to play for Ireland, isn't that a good thing?
Why think?
He's entitled to think. He's entitled to think.
He's 19.
Kev, it's not like you knew from an early age, but it's not like people aren't a bit complicated. I mean, he could feel a real affinity to Ireland and a real affinity to England. Like, he's English. He grew up in London.
Well, if he's English, then play for England.
Well, then what's the problem?
But you can feel...
Play for England then, don't play for Ireland, don't even start playing for us, don't start playing at youth level. This is my big gripe with it all.
Look, I don't like the youth level thing either, but he was still very proud to play for Ireland at youth level. He was representing where his grandparents came from, he'd spent time.
Well, once you've made that decision and you start to play, then continue to play then.
Should you hold a 15, 16-year-old forever to that decision?
Well, no, okay, then that's fine then. But Joe, he's played at senior level. All right, I wouldn't be happy about a lad playing at youth level, under 18s, under 21s, whatever it is, whatever age group it is, be international, and then changing your mind. I'll accept it. I wouldn't be happy about accepting it. We've just got Callum Robinson in the squad now for this game. He's played at England under 21 level, so I'll accept it. I'll take it. I'm not happy, but I'll take it. He's played senior international football for us. Even Jack Grealish, I honestly did. I stood back from Jack Grealish and I said, fair enough, you're not actually going to play for the senior team. You've made your decision, and I understand that. And I actually, through gritted teeth, I took it and I think, well, fair enough. He isn't going to go and maybe embarrass himself by playing at senior international level in a friendly and then going to change his mind. He's played 3 times, Joe. Joe's played 3 times, and I don't care what you say. The messages that have been clear. I've seen videos. I've heard him talking. It's been a constant. I'm Irish. I want to play for Ireland. What's there to think about? Why are we having this debate? So something has changed his mind, and it's whether it's financially motivated, whether it's emotionally motivated. Do not play in the first place. I don't want you. Seriously, I don't want you anywhere near my side. So I get what you're saying, Rich. I do. I take it all on board what you're saying, but. No, I don't want you. I don't want you anywhere near my side. I don't want to be going supporting a side knowing full well that you're going to change your mind in 3 games' time.
Look, I agree with that, but we are where we are now. If he says in a couple of weeks' time, I've really thought about this and I'm 100% committed to Ireland and I wanted to take the time to think about it, big decision, because I feel English as well. I feel English as well and I feel Irish.
Yeah. And
I wanted to think about it to be sure. And now I'm sure, and it's Ireland for me. They were very good to me at youth level. They're my grandparents, my parents. I feel Irish and English. I had to think about it. Now, having thought about it, I'm going with Ireland and I'm committed. So you're telling me then it's like, sorry, no?
Personally, yes, I would feel like that, yeah. I would feel like that. I understand it that he hasn't played, and Martin O'Neill's probably doing all the work behind the scenes as well. He's making the phone calls, he's having those conversations. But if you've got any sort of doubt in your mind, good luck. But all the best. Any doubt in your mind, good luck.
But Joe pointed out you felt Irish and were brought up in an Irish tradition from a very early age, and it was very clear.
All your life.
Yeah. It was very clear to you what path you were going to take if that path opened itself up to you. He obviously feels slightly different, and born and raised in England, but obviously has more of an affinity to, like, nationality is a more elastic thing when you have those twin influences going on. If you're born and raised in England, and I appreciate the agent's probably been in his ear in the last 6 months, and that's a separate issue. But growing up, he was probably split between the two. He had a very Irish side to him growing up in England.
He may have been an English fan.
So was Andy Townsend. Would you not have had Andy Townsend captain the country? He was supporting England at Euro 88.
Joe,
people are like he's dual nationality.
Personally, and you know how I feel on this, Joe. So now you're going to get me going on this one as well. Now, personally, I pick lads that only wanted to play for Ireland as your first choice. That's the way that I see it. But Ireland is your first choice, and that's it. You're not told at 18, 19, what's your choice? Where do you want to play? What's your country? You can play for Ireland. What do you want to do? Well, I'm Irish. I want to play for Ireland.
Well, then the problem is, and I think we can all agree with that, is the rule that says you can play football for one team, and as long as it's not a competitive international, you can start off and play for another. They've been like Diego Costa's done it. Aymeric Laporte is probably going to go and declare for Spain, despite the fact that he's played underage football for France. I mean, it's not just an Ireland-England thing. It's not just an Ireland.
As I said, I go back to your point. You lads don't agree with me on it. I don't, and I understand that.
I don't think it's agreeing or disagreeing.
What don't we agree with?
Well, you're saying that you think he has every right to make a decision on going to play if he wants to make that decision, and he has the right to make that decision to go and play for England. And that's maybe the rule that's in place. Yes, we understand you've got to adhere to the rule, but then it just comes down to what it means to be a sportsman or becoming a sportsman or woman growing up. It's all about the financial rewards. That's all it is. That's all it is.
How do we know this is about finances?
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying in general.
He's 19. Like, not to patronise anyone who's 19, but he may be genuinely conflicted about this thing, and he just wants to take some time.
But why play in the first place?
Because he was asked, because he was 16 or 17, and he was asked up, and he'd represented the country at a young age, and I would say he still, even if he went on to play for England, he would still have a real affinity with Ireland. So I mean, if you're asked up,
of course it is. I said to you, I spoke to lads who have played for England who would have actually preferred to play for us. I've actually spoke to players 2 or 3 lads who have played at underage level for England that kind of ruled them out when they were actually forced into it through the system. I was almost forced to play for England as a kid myself, going through the system, but I didn't want to. I knew myself, and you've got to stand up for that. You've got to stand up for what you believe is right.
Let me put it to you in the shape of a terrible analogy, dreadful analogy. But would you rather go out with someone, have a relationship with someone that you nabbed young, and they hadn't seen the world, they hadn't thought about it, and suddenly they just, like, you're the first thing that comes along, and well, hey, off we go? Yeah. Or would you rather go out with someone who's a bit more worldly, has maybe had a few other boyfriends,
played the field a little bit,
the field a little bit, and has made up their mind properly at a certain age and says, do you know what, I'm fully committed?
Well, do you know what, it's a total
I never said it's a perfect analogy, but it's a similar story. It's similar.
That's like chalk and cheese.
I think I have a real concern with us nabbing lads in their early teens. Okay, so let me put it to you this way. Let's flip it for a second, right? The FAI. They're going up north and they're going to England and they're finding out who has a granny somewhere, right? Let me finish. And they're getting them at 12 or 13. And of course at 12 or 13, chance to play international football, it's hard to make it as is. International football helps your prospects. Of course you're going to say yes. Your family will be thrilled.
Aidan McGeady,
Aidan McGeady and James McCarthy and beyond, right? Once we do that, once we get 14, 15-year-olds, Rice, as I understand, was playing from under 16s anyway. Then it is entirely possible that when they reach maturity, if they've grown up in London their whole life, that they will say, well, look, well, hang on here. I need to think about this now. I think if we are going about our business that way, then we do raise that prospect. And it's happened several times. It's happened with Grealish. It's happening with Rice. And so if we're that put out by it, then we should stop the policy of getting children, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, to come and play for Ireland.
We're up against it anyway. We're up against it. So
but you said you'd rather not qualify. No. So if that's the case, then you can't have the Declan Rices playing for Ireland.
Your point is flawed from the fact is that said I would say with gritted teeth that yes, I understand it, that you might play underage for a different country and go and change. Not senior international football.
Where do you draw the line? What age do you draw the line?
I'd say under 21s personally. That's probably.
Declan Rice is only 18, 19.
He's under 21s football though. He's played under 21s football.
Okay, so 21s is where you'd change it. Fair enough.
That's what I would. That was the older rule, and that's where I would have it. No way senior international. No way. You can kind of even. Richie spoke about Diego Costa. He got 1 cap for Brazil. You're kind of going, all right, fair enough, you've changed nationalities, and he's my favourite footballer around anyway, so I've kind of given him a bit of leeway somewhere along the line. 3 international caps. He's got 3 international caps, Joe. Regardless whether it's a friendly or anything else, he's taken 3 caps away from Irish international footballers. That's the way that I would see it. That's the way I would see it if I was in that squad. He's taken a cap away from me, and also. He may now turn his back. He's got a decision to make. A decision. What decision have you got to make? That's the way that I would look at it. And I understand that, again, you lads are not in agreement with me on it, totally from what I'm saying. And I understand now, again, identity in this day and age is different. And again, I grew up in a different time, and my parents, when they moved to England, grew up in a time when it was batten down the hatches a lot of the time as well, that maybe influenced me, and I understand that totally, but I don't buy the fact is you've played 3 times for a country.
But the England thing as well isn't, I don't think, being sold to him on the fact that he's going to walk into the squad and the starting 11 tomorrow. Like he's got to be quite clear that there's people like Joe Gomez and Harry Maguire and God knows who else in front of him, that it's a long-term thing, that eventually he might be able to play for England, not you're playing for England next Wednesday.
It is ironic that this is happening.
That's irrelevant to me. It's irrelevant who's in front of you.
But it is interesting that, like, when Jack Grealish made the decision, he was playing in the FA Cup semi-final and playing really good football, and all, like, the Henry Winters of the world were on the case. It's funny, Rice, like, really iffy performance at Anfield and out of the team. It's not like he's this
conversation has been had for a while now, hasn't it? That things have been done behind the scenes to turn his head. So this is not a new thing. This has not just happened overnight.
Sure.
He probably played in the summertime with people making these phone calls to Southgate or Dan Ashworth, whoever it was within the English FA. The message has been coming out quite clear. Gareth Southgate said a number of months ago now that he is on their radar. So that message or that conversation has been had. That's been had. So, but again, back to my point, it is irrelevant. It is totally, in my mind, irrelevant whether Gareth Southgate has personally rang you up, Dan Ashworth has personally rang you up, or whoever it is, or whether West Ham's putting pressure on him that he's then going to qualify as an Englishman. It gives them a little bit more. It relieves pressure on them because obviously we need they need homegrown players in the side. I don't know if that's an issue anyway, because I think he's gone through the systems. I don't even think that's an issue anyway, personally. But anyway, regardless of that, it's, to me, there's no argument, and I'll stand by it.
When you say there's no argument, you're saying there's no argument that if he turns around and says, I want to play for Ireland, you're saying he shouldn't be picked?
He will be picked, so I'll support him. He will be picked if he turned around and said that. But by saying this, just by saying, after playing 3 times, even if you're playing once, twice, whatever it would be, but by playing and then saying there's a decision to be made. Martin O'Neill has had that conversation with him. Martin O'Neill probably knows exactly what he's doing today, because he's had to be totally clear that, because there'll be questions asked of Martin O'Neill, and he's had to hold his hand up and say, well, look, he's spoken to England. I can't change that now. He's spoken to England. I think he's hung a lot of people out to dry from how strongly they've supported him as well. Yeah. And I think he's made himself look foolish with the things that he said as well. What arguments has there been? Literally, the message he said, there's no arguments as far as I'm concerned. I'm Irish, I want to play for Ireland, kissing the badge and all that sort of carry on. It just doesn't wash with me, Joe. I'm sorry, it never ever will wash with me. Never will.
Nobody agrees it's a great situation. Like, clearly none of us think it's good to play 3 times for Ireland and then go and play for England. Like, not great. But the question is now, if he makes up his mind to play for Ireland, then you have to welcome him back. No?
Yeah, I know, but I understand what it'll be like within that squad. There will still be that element of, hang on a minute, he's coming back now.
Even though he's actually made a more informed, reasoned, thought-out decision.
Why play in the first place then? That's the point. You say it's informed decision. He's had his head turned then, basically. That's all it is.
Maybe, but say
so playing for Ireland doesn't necessarily.
Say he's had his head turned.
He's taken something away from actually wearing that shirt.
So maybe his head has been turned. Maybe the new agent over the summer, various people. He's still young. He's going to have his head turned. So now imagine he turns around to them and says, "Look, I know I can get a $2 million boot deal with Nike as an England international, and I'll get sod all with Ireland. But I've just decided I'm going with Ireland. They're my team. They've always been my team."
Yeah.
Then actually he stood up for himself, and you'd have to applaud him. If we're saying his head's been turned and he still picks Ireland.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And what's actually been said. And I think he'd probably. I'm not saying he'd have to do a lot of grovelling, but there'd have to be some serious conversations to be had. There'd have to be some. He'd have to come out with clear messages of why he actually has needed to think about it.
I mean, look, on your point, as I understand it, he made his debut at the end of the 16-17 season, last day of the season for West Ham. So the summer of 2017,
that's right,
he makes his debut. And
we saw him then play for.
He's called up to Ireland the next week, or a week or two after that. He is called up to the senior side.
Yeah, that's right.
So what age is he? We're in 2018 now, so he's just gone 18. You're called up at 18.
He never played though then, did he? So he was in almost, it was for training, wasn't it? He never played then. He only made his debut the back end of last season, which was the game in Turkey, then of course the US game, and where else, Rich, did he play? The 3 anyway that we've had over France as well, of course. So he had the 3 games there that he's played, which was at the back end of last season. He was called in for training. So he knows then when Martin O'Neill is looking to involve him at that stage. This is a year ago. If then there's something to think about, it's only a year's passed since then. You think about it then before you actually come into the senior setup, or at least before you make your senior cap or senior debut, the back end of last season against Turkey. You're thinking about it then. You say to Martin O'Neill then, before you've played once, yeah, with all due respect, I've just got a decision to make here, because there's a chance I could be playing for England further down the line, and I feel English. I feel as though I want to be playing for them at some stage in my career, so I will make this decision. He should have said it before he played once.
He should have.
Without a doubt.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
That's the way that I think. So
no, nobody can disagree with that.
Of course, there's loads of people that disagree with that. People think it's all about playing for England.
No, I don't think anyone agrees he should have played 3 times for Ireland when he wasn't sure. I think he's entitled to get up to senior level and change his mind.
There'll be quite a lot of people, and that is what. The English FA have got a policy of saying to players at certain levels, there's a policy within it. They say, well, look, go and play for Ireland, go and play for Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, wherever. We'll watch you. Get your experience at international level, at youth international level. We'll watch you when you're playing.
No, I know, but I'm talking senior. I don't think anyone thinks it's great that he played 3 times for Ireland senior.
I'm sure he's gone with England's blessing, though, if that's the case, because England are saying, well, look, you've got 3 friendlies there. It's not going to encroach on us whatsoever. It's not going to matter to us whether we're going to pick you further down the line. You can go and get 3 caps. You can go and see what you like playing
if he's had
within that environment.
If he's had that conversation with them before playing for Ireland, and they've said, you know what, go and play. We still
no, but they would have had that conversation. I doubt very much he's had that conversation, but they would have had that conversation.
With who?
With themselves, amongst the English FA.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean,
Gareth Southgate said it in the last few months anyway, that he's monitoring him.
You risk losing him then very quickly, if you let him into Irish camp.
Well, then it's almost as if like that we can actually then dictate to others. We can dictate to other nations. You can actually go and play for another nation, but we're the power broker here. We're the ones that actually are going to make the final call on this, we will actually call him up further down the line.
The player can choose to ignore that if you want.
Of course they can. Of course they can. But you choose to ignore it now. You don't actually say to Martin O'Neill now, look, thanks very much. And I've got something to think about here. As soon as that letter comes through, or as soon as that text comes through, the email comes through, whatever it is, you just say, yeah, I'm there, I'm on the plane, thanks very much.
Heliolite says, effing hell, move on.
Yeah, he's probably right as well. That's the way I would think as well. Now, move on.
Yeah, okay.
Move on.
Well, I don't think he meant it like that. But
Yeah,
you've twisted his tweet and taken it.
Well, yeah, it is. He's probably telling us to move on.
That's what he's
probably
telling
right. He
us
is
to
probably
do.
telling us to move on, but I would say move on from the whole debate now, and that's it.
Yeah, okay. We're going to take a break then. Well, we've completely ruined your newsround, Richie. You got to one story.
United Spurs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, do you want
Are we
to
in the
give,
teams?
do you want to give team news?
Yeah, interesting team news.
And then we'll go and
this
find out
this
the
raised
mayor.
his eyebrows as well when they came in. It looks like Manchester United are going with 3 at the back. It's been mooted all day that Nemanja Matic will be deployed in defence. Of course, he hasn't played so far this season. It seems he's going to be in a back 3 alongside Chris Smalling and Phil Jones. In midfield then we'll have Fredge, Ander Herrera and Paul Pogba, with Antonio Valencia and Luke Shaw wide of them, and Jesse Lingard in behind Romelu Lukaku. So 3-5-2 it seems for Manchester United tonight. For Spurs, the big news for them is that Hugo Lloris does start in goal for them despite his drink driving arrest just last week. Kieran Trippier, Jan Vertonghen, Toby Alderweireld and Danny Rose are their back 4. In midfield, Eric Dyer and Moussa Dembele sit in behind Lucas Moura, Christian Eriksen and Dele Alli, with unsurprisingly Harry Kane up front, and kickoff is at 8 o'clock.
Pam McGee on my girlfriend analogy says it was an outstanding analogy, which I think is important to say. And somebody else says, lads, I just like to go out with anyone.
Was that JP?
Was that me? Don't know. Anyway, go on.
We'll take a break. We'll play the full Martin O'Neill audio. We've gone way over time
Kilbane
here.
issues, come and get me, please.
Come on, no.
We've gone over time here. I don't think we're going to fit in the Martin O'Neill audio before 8 o'clock. We'll play it out on the football show. Gary Breen's going to join us. Look, we won't spend too much more time in it because I think it's fairly clear everybody has.
He's going to have a heart attack.
Well, look, it's up to it.
I tell you one thing now, Breeny is as strong as me. I can imagine Breeny today when he's heard this news.
Not impressed. Well,
He's none too plussed.
yeah. I understand where you're both coming from. It's hard to argue with you because it should be pure and simple, and you should just want to play for whatever your country is. But the reality is clearly different. We'll talk with Gary Breen after 9 o'clock. We'll play Martin O'Neill, and then we'll have Pat and Evan on as well. We'll go and find out what's going on with this Mayo situation next.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products.
News Talk Breakfast.
I actually agree with the principle. Everybody should pay a small amount of tax. Like, yes, it's a small amount, but the vast majority